You know, after seeing this, I'm waiting for the prequel to be greenlit. The boy in front of the door. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a film from a little earlier this year, The Boy Behind the Door. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, or if you were planning on seeing it, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's jump right into it, and let's talk about The Boy Behind the Door. This stars Lonnie Chavis as Bobby and Ezra Dewey as his best friend Kevin. After they're both kidnapped and taken to a strange house in the middle of nowhere, Bobby manages to escape. But as he starts to make a break for it, he hears Kevin's screams for help, and he realizes he can't leave his friend behind. This is written and directed by David Charbonnier and Justin Powell, who also brought us another horror film from earlier this year, The Djinn, which I thought wasn't bad, and this reunites them with Ezra Dewey, who starred in that film as well. Now, if there's one thing I thought was noteworthy in The Djinn, is that those two directors do have an eye for solid atmospheric horror, and that's once again the case here. Like The Djinn, this mainly takes place in one location, though instead of an apartment building as seen in that film, this takes place in a much larger house. And while this is another film mostly confined to one setting, I think since this gave the directing duo a little more to work with, it allowed for their talents to properly shine more. Because while these confined, claustrophobic one-location horror movies can certainly work, they do run the risk of coming off a bit repetitive. And that's not to say that that doesn't happen in this film, as there are instances where better decisions could have been made, and it felt like they were only done to just stretch out the already very short runtime. But for the most part, this film felt like it was a lot more on the move without hitting the same few beats over and over and over again. It feels like one giant cat and mouse chase that's constantly engaging, brought to life by some really solid direction by Charbonnier and Powell through their extensive use of tense close-ups. Now, it's worth noting that, on that same note, the subject matter is a touchy subject, as it does involve these two characters, who are children, getting abducted. And as we do come to some revelations, there's some implied subject matter that's, to say the least, incredibly uncomfortable. And I can understand when one hears some of the things we're told happens here, it may not totally sit right with them. Though for what it's worth, to be clear, nothing graphic is shown. And regarding our main two characters, while they do encounter some obstacles in what's clearly a very traumatic experience, it never comes off as exploitative or completely tasteless. And it shows them, well, mainly Bobby, attempting to use their wits as best as possible to get the one-up on their captors. So it's a film that doesn't punch down at them. And because there was more of an emphasis on thrills and trying to be invested in these characters' journey, I was able to be on board with this, though I can understand if parts of this don't totally sit right with viewers. Now, while this is a really well-made film, there are some criticisms worth noting. Primarily, since this is an event-driven film, we really don't get to learn much about either of our main two characters prior to everything kicking in. We do get some dialogue between them as they share their hopes and dreams at various points, though honestly, this did come off a little corny, and I think in its attempts at having these characters sound strong, it doesn't have them sound totally realistic. Like, for two young kids to have such ambitious, specific goals the way they do, with such strong conviction, sounded a little off to me. And also, some of the acting can be a little hit and miss at times, particularly from a prominent adult character who's introduced a little later on. Some of the delivery for this character comes off as a little campy and cartoonish, and while I'm always down for a ridiculous movie, what they were going for here didn't quite match the tone of the rest of the film, so it stuck out like a sore thumb. Overall, I thought The Boy Behind the Door was an effective horror movie. It's shot well, doesn't overstay its welcome, and it's consistently thrilling. It could have used a little more work on the character and dialogue side of things, but otherwise this makes for one of the better Shudder releases this year so far, and I look forward to seeing more from these two directors. The Boy Behind the Door gets a 7.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see The Boy Behind the Door, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you like him more than The Djinn if you saw that? Do you want to see more from these directors? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone, and keep having fun with film.